Welcome back. Namibia joins the rest of the world in celebrating International Workers' Day under the theme Workers United in Ensuring Productivity in Economic Growth and Guarding Against Unfair Labour Practices in the World of Work. Joining the conversation tonight is Deputy Labour Commissioner at the Ministry of Labour, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation, Ms. Sihlahla. Good evening and welcome to the Daily Roundup, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you so much for joining us. Perhaps we can start with, looking at if there's really anything worth celebrating on this day, bearing in mind the millions of workers who are still subjected to unfair labor practices and various forms of abuse at workplaces.
In my view, I think this day serves as the celebration of workers' rights, as well as a reminder of the critical role that trade unions play in the lives of workers. So, in my view, this is really worth celebrating.
There may be some who are, of the view and who argue that things are not really getting any better for workers, with the gap between the rich and the poor continuing to widen. What do you make of this sentiments?
Thanks very much for the question. The Ministry of Labour recognizes that there are still challenges facing workers, particularly in relation to income inequality and the widening gap between the rich and the poor. However, the Ministry of Labour remains committed to working towards improving the conditions of all workers, including those who are most vulnerable. But this should not be left to the ministry and the state alone. It should be a collective effort of all economic actors. Just to add to that, Namibia has made significant strides in protecting workers' rights and promoting fair labor practices. For example, the ministry has implemented various policies and programs aimed at creating a safe and healthy working environment by promoting social dialogue and protecting workers' rights. And Namibia has just ratified various international labor conventions. To mention a few, we have Convention 190 on violence and harassment in the world of work. And this demonstrates our commitment to ensuring that workers are protected from all forms of abuse. Mm-hmm. To add to that, the Honorable Minister Utoni Nyoma, after consulting the Labour Advisory Council, he varied certain provisions of basic condition of employment, and that is for employees and employers that are in the fishing industry. There are certain basic conditions that were varied, and that includes the ordinary hours of work, the overtime, the meal intervals, and daily spread over and weekly rest period. And all those were amended to improve the working conditions of the employees in the fishing industry. Just to add one more, the ministry is working on the creation of a productivity center. As we all know, productivity is a key driver of economic growth and development in any given country, as it enables businesses to produce more goods and services using the same or fewer resources. Meaning that once we have this center, productivity center, then we will be able to produce more using fewer resources. And once there is an improvement on productivity, then we'll have an increased competitiveness, which will help to attract investment, to create job opportunities, and to boost the country's overall economic performance. And all those things, in my view, once they are in place, the gap between the rich and the poor could become a thing of the past. Because once you promote productivity, Namibia will enhance its position in a regional hub for trade and investment, and this will create opportunities not only for businesses, but also for the workers, as they will be able to be employed by those that are willing to do business in Namibia.
Yeah. Now, Ms. Sihlahla, the country has observed quite a number of industrial actions, across different sectors over the past few years. How does this year's theme speak to the current plight of workers?
Okay. Industrial actions, that is now when we talk about strikes and lockout. These are rights that are provided for in the Labour Act. And that is for the purpose of one party trying to compel the other party to either accept a demand or an offer given. That normally happens after parties have engaged in negotiation for wage negotiations and other basic improvement in basic conditions of employees. Although that is a right for one to embark on an industrial action, it is not an absolute right, but rather a relative right, owing to the fact that before a party embarks on an industrial action, there are certain requirements in terms of the Labour Act that should be met first before one embarks on either strike or lockout. However, we should take into account that there are serious repercussions of industrial action and that they affect both employers and employees. For example, there will be loss of production, there will be loss of income, meaning that the employees that embark on strike or those that are locked out, they will not be able to have any income during the period of the industrial action. There will also be loss of employment. For example, once there is a lot of production and the organization has lost income, then the employer may opt to lay off such employees and reduce the workforce so that it will be able to sustain the salaries and the business itself. And also there will be an increased inflation, and also the cost of living will be increased. So trade unions, as part of their roles, they need to ensure that they fight and work hard for the improvement of the working conditions of their members, and also take into consideration of the consequences as they affect both the workers and the employers.
Thank you. Just lastly, before I let you go, how do you see the future of work evolving in the face of AI, artificial intelligence?
Okay, that one is a rather lengthy topic, and I think it needs a day, another day for us to engage on that one.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your time this evening, Ms. Sihlahla. We'll hope to have you back in the future to discuss that very matter. Thank you for your time.
You are more than welcome.
We're going to take a short break, and our conversations continue when we come back. Okay. Must I talk to her? Hi, Jemima.